Today we shall be looking at the introduction to data analysis. Yeah. So by the end of the lesson today, you should understand what data means. You should understand what data analysis means. You should know why data is important. You should understand who a data analyst is. You should identify organizations that use data. You should understand business decisions using data, and you should build confidence in data analysis. Now, what is data? Data refers to raw facts, numbers, text, information, observations, measurements, or records that are collected about people, places, events, or objects for a purpose. Yes, the collection is for a purpose. Yeah. So, what are the examples of data? Score, like the score in an examination, 30, 40, 50, and so on. Those are examples of data. Your phone number is also a data. Transactions, attendance, present, absence, sales records, salary, age, height, weight, marital status, class, the class you are, JSS1, JSS2, SS1, SS2, whatever. Date and grade, prices, eye color, all of these are examples of data. This is to tell us that data is something that is everywhere. Yes, data is everywhere. Why data matters? Yes, data helps identify trends. Yes, note this. Data helps you to identify trend, and that is one reason why data matter, because when you collect data over time, you'll be able to notice what exactly is repeating. Do you understand? So you get to understand performances and problems. When something is repeating, for example, a church that takes attendance every Sunday, we likely know that okay, our members are reducing. Why? Because maybe the attendance was 500 last week, and this week they are counting 480, and the next week they counted 460. They know definitely there is something that is taking people away from church per week. So you identify problems, you identify your performance, you identify trends. Now raw data becomes valuable when analyzed. Yes, if you are just taking data, just writing down data, and not analyzing it, then there is no use. Like data isn't of no use, but those data becomes meaningful and useful for you when you eventually do what you perform your analysis over time. So it supports decisions making. Yes, it supports decision making for organization by helping them to increase their profits and reduce risk. That's one thing data does. When there is a lot of data, you will be able to make decision as an organization, and to help them to increase their profits. Definitely you'll be able to use the data to make profiting decision. You make profiting decisions, and you can as well reduce risk. Every business wants to expand, and expansion is in the place of you increasing profit and minimizing risk. So data versus information. Yes, data are raw facts. For example, we have 80, 90, 70, maybe as a score in an examination. Those are just raw facts. Just getting the data and we write it down. They are just raw facts. But information comes in. Informations are meaningful, meaning derived from data. So when the data is being looked at and maybe something happened, and then we now make a conclusion from those data, that is now information. For example, the average score is 80. That is an information that has been derived from a data. So we know that okay, before we can say the average score is 80, something has happened, and that's why we say data becomes useful when it is analyzed. So that thing that has happened is a data analysis. So an analysis has happened, and then we can now give an information. Now, what exactly is data analysis? What exactly is data analysis? Data analysis is the process of collecting. So take notes, you can put it in the list form. This is the first thing that data analysis entails: collecting of data, cleaning of data. Yes, over the time you will see get to see more videos about data cleaning. Data collection can be done in various ways. One of it is your questionnaire method and all of that. Direct observation. There are various ways you can collect data, but data analysis starts from collecting the data. Before you can do any analysis, you have to collect the data. Then when you collect data, you clean it. Yes, in some instances there might be non-response, and persons might give you data. You might not have this information. Some places might be blank and all of those things in your data. So what do? You clean your data. Then the next thing is organizing it. Yes, you have to put your data in a way that is organized. You have to put it in a way that is organized, whether you are putting it in a pictorial way or organizing it pictorially or anyway, just make sure your data, that's one thing data analysis entail: organizing data and interpreting. Yes, I can say this is the most crucial part of data analysis. For every person that wants to go into data analysis, you must learn about interpreting data. You must focus on it. This is where people actually need. Everybody might not, everybody could actually collect data, but data collection is something that could still be done. She understand. Cleaning of data, yes, can still be done in one way or the other, but when it comes to the issue of this interpreting data, that is where analyst A becomes better than analyst B, because the way analyst A interprets the data is different from the way analyst B interprets the data. So you should be able to interpret data to discover what useful information and support decision making. So let's take that again. Data analysis is the process of collecting, cleaning, organizing, and interpreting data to discover useful information and support decision making. Yes, it is useful to discover insights and making better decisions about a given data set. So when a data set is given to you, analysis becomes useful for you to do what? To discover insights and make a better decision about that data set that is given to you. Because if the data set is given to you and you are not making any decision from the data set, then where is the place of your analysis? So now the next thing is the real life examples of data analysis. Look at this now. Given that three students, John, Mary, and David, scored 50, 95, and 65 respectively. So this 50 belongs to John, 95 belongs to Mary, and 65 belongs to David. Now consider the following question: who scored the highest? Now, who scored the highest? Okay, let's answer the question. So who scored the highest? Mary, right? What is the average score? Okay, the average score here should be around 70. Yeah, so answering these questions is what? Data analysis. When I said the average score was 70, you might be wondering, how did this man get 70? Yes, that is data analysis. That is data analysis. 70 is not on the screen here. Sorry, 70 is not on the screen here, but when we look for the average by calculations, we get that the average is what? 70, and that is data analysis. Yes, why data analysis is important? Data analysis helps organization to make better decisions. Yeah, organization can now make decisions when data has been analyzed. Take for example, maybe an organization that is a school, and I said the average score is 70. It means we can make a decision to do what? To maybe increase our pass mark. Maybe it will help students to work more so that our average score can increase. Do we understand? So these are just what we are talking about here. Data analysis help organizations to do what? To make better decisions. It helps them to reduce losses. It helps them to increase their profits. It helps them to understand their customers. It helps them to solve problems. It helps them to identify trends. It helps them to improve their operations. Yes. So who is a data analyst? A data analyst is a professional who collects, cleans, analyzes, and interprets data to help organization make informed decisions. So anybody that does data analysis is a data analyst. That's just the basic thing here. A data analyst is like a detective investigating data. So data is the what the things that are given to you, and you as the analyst, you are doing what? You are like a detective, and what are you investigating? Data to make what? Informed decisions. So what are the skills that a data analyst should have? Every opportunities, there is always a skill that should be focused on. So a data analyst should know how to do what? How to organize data. Very important. How to work with spreadsheets. So it means you must learn how to work with spreadsheets. Learning how to work with spreadsheets, you can check on our page. You see some videos on working with spreadsheets and all of that. So you must know how to analyze numbers. Yes, you must know how to look at numbers and analyze it. You must be able to create charts. You must be able to communicate your insights, and you must be able to solve problems. These are the skills that a data analyst have. Yeah. So these are the skills of a data analyst. So the next thing now is tools used by data analysts. What are the tools that are used by data analysts? So common tools that are used by data analysts include Excel, yeah, Excel, Google Sheets, SQL, Python, Power BI, and Tableau. These are all tools that a data analyst use. There are many other tools that data analysts use, but basically, I think these are the common ones that a data analyst use. If you are fortunate to know all of these skills, then automatically you've done a lot of things with data analysis. Now, industries that are using data. Yes, data is used in the following industries: banking, healthcare, education, government, sports, churches, e-commerce, social media, transportation, telecommunications, etc. So this is to tell us that data is used everywhere. So for example, Netflix use data to recommend videos, to recommend movies for people. The more you go to Netflix, the kind of videos you watch frequently, before you know it, you just discover that once you just enter Netflix or even YouTube, once you come to YouTube, the fact that you've been watching the videos, then you discover that what they have captured your data, and then that will make them to be that will tell them what they will now be showing you next, the kind of movies they'll be recommending for you. Another thing is bank uses data to detect frauds. Yes, when data is being taken on individual accounts, you will be able to detect when manipulations is happening on the accounts. Another thing is churches use data to track attendance and finances. Yes, churches can use data to do what? To track attendance and also to track their finances. So schools uses data to monitor academic performances. Yes, that's another thing. Schools uses data to monitor what academic performances. And I've also heard that individuals can also use data, and individual uses data for what? For accountability sake and for growth, personal growth. When you get your data, you know that okay, fine, maybe your prayer life, you can be like, okay, I prayed today, you note it. I prayed to this I prayed over the time. You can know that okay, fine, maybe after many years you can even perform an analysis to know okay, how often do you commit to prayer? So answering such a question, that is data analysis. So data analysis is a skill that is useful in all sphere. Thank you very much for being a part of this video. Stay tuned to our channel for more of this. Thank you.